Okay, so this is for everyone saying that, oh my God, how can Dany do that? It came out of nowhere. She had no motivation for slaughtering all the people of King's Landing. Well, if you don't have the lack of character or the evil in your soul to understand exactly what was going on in Dany's mind, don't worry, let me help you, okay? I'm gonna explain to you exactly what was going on in Dany's mind, and it makes complete sense. And I'm surprised that all these other YouTubers are up in arms saying how Dany acted out of character, or if it would have been better if someone had like shot at Dany. Why was it that the bells made Dany totally flip out? Well, it's easy. Think about what had happened over the course of the previous episodes, including this very episode. To start off, and warning, spoilers, okay? So to start off the episode, Varys and his little spies are working hard to betray Dany. In fact, if you're Dany, you have to assume that you are going to have all manner of people plotting to remove you from office, let's say, and place Jon Snow on the throne. You're going to have to be worried about that your entire life. Up until the day that you die at this point, there will be people in Westeros trying to kill you. There's nothing that can be done about this. It's already too late. Once Jon Snow told his sisters, it was all over. Dany's life would be in danger from that moment until the day she dies. So let's start with that premise. Dany knows now that her life is in danger. If she wins King Landing, if she loses the battle, no matter what happens, in perpetuity now, as long as Jon Snow is alive, her life is in danger. Now, it would have been easier, I suppose, right when she killed Varys, if she went ahead and killed Tyrion and Jon Snow right then. Now, and if it was me, now I told you I'm going to let you guys into the mind of an evil soul. If I was Daenerys at that very moment, I would have killed Varys, I would have killed Jon Snow, and I would have killed Tyrion. Then I would have went to Winterfell, and I would have killed Sansa Stark. And if I could find Arya, I would have tried to kill her too. That way, once she wins in King's Landing, she can sleep at night without worrying about somebody slitting her throat in the middle of the night. Now, I know Jon Snow is a good guy in that he would never want to hurt her. But all those other people angling for power, or as for like Varys said, the good of the realm, whatever that means, they were all going to be trying to kill her in her sleep, for all she knows. Okay, so let's go to the moment of the battle. The battle is over. All of the Lannister soldiers are basically surrendering. The people are waiting. They're crying, "Ring the bells! Ring the bells!" The bells finally start to ring. Now, I'm sure at that moment, like the reason why she went from almost like a calm expression to this sneering. Well, it's interesting because the actress's expression, it does a few things. Because at first, you can see her like be like calm. Then you can see her debating, thinking in her mind. And then she turns to anger. Like almost like a resolute resolve about what she had to do. It was anger, but it was also like she's telling herself she's resolving for this course of action that she's about to do. And the explanation for that is in the previous scene with Jon Snow. When she says, "You're loved by the people. All I have is fear." And Jon Snow says, "I love you." And they went and they started kissing, and Jon Snow pulled away. Probably because Jon Snow is a northerner who doesn't like the whole incest thing. Okay, so Jon Snow pulls away, and she says, "Well, fear it is." Now, Machiavelli once said, It is better to be feared than to be loved. Let's play a hypothetical. Let's say that she doesn't destroy King's Landing, that she accepts the surrender. No, let's say that she doesn't even destroy the Red Keep. She just arrests Cersei. She arrests some of the Lannister lords and stuff, executes them, whatever. And now she is Queen Daenerys Targaryen, first of her name, etc., etc., etc. How long is it that she's going to last? How long before someone's going to kill her? How long? 6 months? A year? They saw her dragon, but they have no reason to be afraid of her. I mean, once she's on the throne, the politics are going to kill her. You know, and I mean, Ned Stark, no one was going to beat Ned Stark in battle. Politics killed Ned. You know? Politics killed the King Baratheon. So the politics were going to kill her. So now, you know, you have a multi-stage war that you're fighting here if you're Daenerys. You're not just fighting a war against the armies, but you're fighting a war against the people themselves. The people and all of the politicians in Westeros who have to know that you're as merciless and as ruthless as Tywin Lannister, as Cersei Lannister. You know, Tywin Lannister is a caricature of Edward the Longshanks, the most ruthless king in England. So if you're Dany, the only way that you can close your eyes at night with a calm, peaceful, the only way you could ever dream again, you're going to have to show the people of King's Landing that they need to be afraid of you. Okay? They need to fear you. So at that moment, when the bell started to ring, I'm sure in her mind, she thought to herself, if I simply go up if I just let the army sweep up, I'm going to lose. And Cersei is going to win. She's going to win in a sense of, well, she's going to lose. She's going to be put to death. But they're both going to die. I mean, she's right. She knew this. The irony is she knows the politics of King's Landing better than Tyrion seems to know, and better than Jon Snow seems to know, and they're from Westeros. I mean, they've lived their entire lives in Westeros. They should know the way politics works in the Seven Kingdoms. But somehow, this princess, from overseas comes over here and she knows the politics of Westeros better than they know it. And seemingly better than all these other YouTubers who've been watching Game of Thrones for 8 seasons. What has it been? 11 years? I don't know how many years it's been. But you've all been watching Game of Thrones for a decade. And you guys seem not to know why Dany did what Dany did. It's amazing to me. It's evil. In fact, forget the Red Wedding. This is one of the most evil things I've ever seen on television. I've never seen something that evil. I've seen Schindler's List. Schindler's List about the Holocaust was less evil than what we saw. We saw children being burnt alive, which Game of Thrones love killing children for some reason. They love burning children, stabbing children, throwing children off buildings. It seems like the showrunners hate children. But anyway. But we've seen all of this for a decade. And everyone is shocked and surprised that Dany did what she did. They're like, oh my God, it's so out of character. No one, why would she do such a horrible thing? No, it was in her character. They've been building up for it all this time. And people said, no, it feels rushed. They should have built it up. They should have explained the motivation. What more motivation does a person have to have than survival? Game of Thrones has shown you that this is the only episode this season. You know what? This is the only episode for 2 seasons that has felt like Game of Thrones. And everyone thinks it's horrible. Now, I admit, there are some things that I didn't like about the episode. Jaime's story arc is ridiculous. Arya always surviving no matter what is ridiculous. Clegane Bowl was satisfying in some way, especially the part about Clegane falling in the fire when he's always been afraid of fire. I love that. Still a little ridiculous. A little ridiculous. Tyrion's blunder was very rewarding. But Tyrion freeing Jaime and thinking that Jaime was going to somehow convince Cersei, Tyrion has made the same mistake over and over and over and over again. So they've made Tyrion to be an idiot. That's ridiculous. Tyrion wouldn't be an idiot. I don't even think Tyrion would have betrayed Varys if it had been the real character Tyrion from the first 4 seasons. Tyrion probably would have sided. Remember, the only reason Tyrion is supporting Dany in the first place was because Varys convinced him to. So it's not believable to me that Tyrion would just, I have to be loyal to someone. Why? It's ridiculous. Tyrion, right? He's too smart for that. So there was a lot of ridiculousness in this episode. The one thing that was not ridiculous was Dany trying to save herself and trying to grasp power. That's the one thing that was believable and plausible and the most like Game of Thrones. Jon Snow, the horror that oh my gosh, Jon Snow, Arya Stark, the horror in their faces. You know, I'm sure Arya had thought, wow, why was I going after Cersei when the person I should have killed was sleeping with my brother, you know? So I thought that this was the most Game of Thrones like episode of the entire season. I loved it. It was horrible, horrifying. Dany's decision was horrifying, but it was not out of nowhere. Secretly, I am a little satisfied that Cersei and Jaime died with the buildings crumbling, because Tywin Lannister once did the same thing to a group of innocent people. See how quickly Game of Thrones lovers forget, especially if you read the books, that Tywin Lannister destroyed Lord Rain of Castamere. They were men, women, and children. They were all underground in their mine. And Tywin Lannister closed the entrance and flooded the mine. You could hear the screams of those men, women, and children. I think it was something like 400, or I think it was 400. But maybe 4,000. I don't know. It was a lot. It was said that the echo of their screams could be heard for miles as Tywin slaughtered the men, women, and children, old men, everybody, killed everyone. And now the rains weep over your halls. The Lannisters were known for slaughtering their enemies in totality, showing no mercy, repaying their debts. So when Cersei repays her debts, I think because she was a character that people liked, it's even more brutal and horrible. And she killed so many more people. And it was shown. You never actually saw the slaughter of Castamere, but you keep hearing the songs all the time. Da 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 da. And somehow people were still rooting for Jaime Lannister up until the last couple of episodes. So it shows no matter how horrible a thing you do, you can somehow be redeemed in this. Now, I'm sure there is no redemption coming for Dany. And I'm sure forever, Dany is going to be one of the most hated characters in all of the Game of Thrones. But despite her actions being despicable, evil, disgusting, it was not mysterious. It was not mysterious. And I saw it the whole time. In fact, I knew I thought she should do it. I thought she should do it if she wanted to be queen. But part of her story was she was going to break the wheel. There wasn't going to be any more lords and queens and kings and all of these things. So, and that's how it should have been. So her becoming what she hated, her becoming Cersei, her becoming everything she despised is so enjoyable to me because it shows an overarching truth. Power corrupts, And absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's what the Game of Thrones is all about. It actually gives more weight to the show, in my opinion. And this show is actually this episode is redeeming the entire season for me. Because it's giving Game of Thrones a meaning where it started to drift off and seem meaningless to me. The meaning is to show once again, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And even someone you love like Jon Snow, if you give him enough power, he'll be corrupt too. He'll turn. That's why he doesn't want it. He doesn't want power. He's a good guy. He knows what it's going to turn you into. And he was hopeful that Dany was going to be different, that Dany was going to break the wheel. She's no different than any of the other occupants of that Iron Throne. None of them are. So anyway, my name's Dante, and that's my take on Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5. I just wanted to make this episode about that. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm horrible for saying what I said? If you do, please leave me a comment. Tell me how stupid and evil I am. And yeah, until Episode 6.